Pam Parsons is the MHA for Harbour Grace, Portagrave, and she's calling in today. Good afternoon, Pam Parsons. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Cecil, and your guests, of course. It's certainly a great day. I'm actually calling from Harbour Grace, from my district. I'm at the Splash Community Center now, where there's an event happening, a fundraiser in support of O'Shaughnessy House, a women's shelter, a local shelter here. And, of course, also to recognize International Women's Day, and I'm happy to say we have a gymnasium here full of strong, brave, courageous women. And I certainly wanted to call into your show today. And it's hard to name just one. I mean, my two grandmothers, of course, have been inspirational in my life, along with my mother.
Yeah.
And the women I've worked with along the way. Cecil, of course, I was a former co-worker of yours, as you know.
Yes, you and I worked together. I'll go back in time about 13 or 14 years. But what inspired you to get into politics?
Well, this was always a long-term plan for me. I mean, I did my political science degree in Nova Scotia, Mount St. Vincent University, and then I went on to do journalism. But then I knew at some point in time I would put myself up for a public office. I think I was bitten by the political bug. Actually, when I was going to school here in this very building years ago, I was in grade 5, and a family friend was running for a nomination, and later then, of course, ran in the election. And at that young age, about 10 years old, I was so intrigued, and I knew it was something that I always would want to do. And so, you know, the path I chose, of course, I did my journalism after my political science, and here we are today. But you know, I want to say, and I want to thank a lot of brave women who helped me along my journey.
Sure.
Such as right there at the CBC, Debbie Cooper. You know, Debbie Cooper was in our living rooms for so long, and still is, and does such a graceful job. And I remember how helpful and kind she was to me. You know, at my time there at CBC. Same Marilyn Boone. I mean, another strong, great woman there, producer at CBC, and the list goes on. Of course, I've also had the privilege of working with Toni Marie Wiseman, you know, such a great, strong woman in our media. And now, of course, I can't not name my friend and colleague, Missy Fan Jones. I mean, a real trailblazer for women in politics.
Without a doubt, in this province. And has fought a few battles in her day as well, Pam.
Literally, yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. Pam, I just want to bring in Hope. She's sitting across the table here.
So you've touched on a couple of different kinds of heroes there, Pam. Women like us who are sort of out there talking on the radio, which is one kind of thing that I think we've already touched on. And it is important for people growing up to see women in those roles, as I said. But there's another kind of hero, which is the women you're there with today, and the women who avail of these shelters that you're raising money for, and the women who survive violence and keep going. And so let's recognize the everyday heroism of people who live through the unspeakable and manage to continue to get up in the morning, which is itself sometimes an act of heroism.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Absolutely. And, and as an MHA, I mean, I talk to a lot of those women on a daily basis. I mean, they face struggles that are unique, to women in general, and, that men don't experience, as you know. And you're right. It's very important to remember, people in all industries and all jobs and all walks of life, and there are everyday heroes that we have the privilege of passing and talking to on a daily basis, as you mentioned.
Pam, it was good to hear from you. I'm going to jump right to the next caller, but you have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
And it was good to talk with you again.
Women's Day.
And to you as well, Pam Parsons.
Thank you.
Pam Parsons,
thank you, Pam.
You are welcome. MHA for Harbour Grace, Portagrave.